Hi guys. So the assessment that I'm doing for this video is running records assessment. It's a new one for me. I never really heard of it until doing this assignment. So it's a little fun for me. Um, basically, uh, basically what it is, it's a reading assessment to measure the like how fluent children are in their reading, and also how accurate they can read the words and how comfortable they are with understanding the content. And so, basically, with this one, it was developed in 1993 by Marie Clay. Um, she's very prominent in the education literacy universe. She spent many years doing formative research towards education, and it's interesting. What I found in this is that although it is in our Google spreadsheet, it says that it's summative, but most of the findings that I've had, it also listed as formative, which also was listed in the Google sheet as well. It said it could be formative as well. But yeah, so it was developed in 1993 by Marie Clay, and it's been used for quite some time. It's been popular since then, and it falls under the cognitivism category. You know, the psychological, trying to figure out the mental processes and how people think and perceive and remember and learn and solve problems. Directing attention towards one stimulus rather than another. And so that's kind of where this all aligns. And basically, what it looks like is you would have a kid read a book, or maybe your class, you have your class read a book or something like that. And rather than giving them a standardized test like multiple choice or something like that, you would just you would basically have a score sheet. They have these score sheets where it's like you give them tick marks. I think I'm gonna attach a photo of what it looks like, because there's like different score sheets and there's annotation that you use. But basically, you'll have them read a certain portion of the text. You won't have them read a large section. You might have them read 100 words, or maybe you have them read 2 pages and there's 130 words on there. And from there, what you'll do is you'll basically have them read it. But before I even get into that, they're familiar with this information. They're familiar with the text. They spent time with it. They've practiced with it. That's why this would come into play as a summative assessment, because you've been working on it throughout the semester. They're familiar with the text, and so it's not something that's surprising them, and it's not something like completely random to the student. And so what you do is you would sit with them. And this is just one way to score it, by the way. This is just one way to score it. But you'd sit with them, and as they're reading, you would check off. You give little check marks on all the words that they get correct. And if they stumble on a word, but then they get it correct, you might still take it. But if they replace a word, let's say they say want instead of went, so you'd write what they said at the top, and then what the actual word should be at the bottom of in the place of where the tick is supposed to be. Um, and you would do this, and how you would score the students reading is you would count the amount of words they got correct out of the amount of words total, and then you take the percentage of that and you give them a percentage. So let's say a kid gets 90% accuracy and fluency. Then that's when you make the decision whether they should be with a different reading group, whether they should read something different. That's when you start to decide. Um, you started to decide what they should be reading based off their score. Now, they can get words right, they could get all of the words right, but timing is important too. So another way to help keep track and score this is having a timer. Because let's say a kid gets all of the words right, if they take 10 minutes to read like 2 pages, then you wouldn't want them to advance. You want them to read something easier, or you'll have to evaluate the words that they messed up on. And so those are some ways that you'd score that. Um, so this would come into play in a summative perspective. This would be towards the end of the semester or the end of the class, and you may do this with students individually, maybe during silent reading time, or you'll do it before or after class, or you might have them do it with a partner, but you would do this to see where their current level is at that moment, and that could be a reflection on the lessons throughout the semester. Now, a way that this can be formative is that as you're going through the material, you could have like a peer review type thing. You could have them work together and grade each other on their on the certain the passage that is given. And so that's another way that you could incorporate it in your class. Some examples that I looked up when I was researching it was I got a couple examples. Was one teacher, she practiced with her children at home, but basically she just had a book that she was familiar with. I think it was Of Mice and Men, but I'm not 100%, don't quote me on that, but it was something that the daughter was familiar with, and then she went over it, had her read about 2 pages, and and she thinks she got a score of like 97 afterwards. And so that's pretty much something that you could do. I think I'm gonna attach a picture in the comments, if that's even a thing, of what these score sheets would look like. Um, because I feel like it'll make a lot more sense if you saw what it looked like, how you'd grade these score sheets. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what that is in a nutshell. It was new to me, but I'm glad I learned it, because it's actually, I feel like, a very effective way of being very specific and detailed on what students are specifically struggling with. Specific words and specific content. You could just get really nitty gritty with it, and really walk through it with them, if that makes sense. So that's pretty much all I have for this video. So.